What's going on, guys? It's Mr. Artist here, and this is a slideshow of my Season 4 Thomas and Friends promo image editorials. Most of the images from this season will be of the narrow gauge engines, as there was very little time devoted to the standard gauge engines during Season 4. With that being said, let's jump into the slideshow. I like to give a welcome to the narrow gauge engines, as it's a breath of fresh air to be focusing on new characters instead of our mains for most of this year. My favorite narrow gauge engine is Sir Handel because he's blue, but hey, I like all of the narrow gauge engines. All of them, even the troublesome ones such as Sir Handel and Duncan. But Skarloey is the number one. Skarloey and Rheneas are the oldest narrow gauge engines of the Skarloey Railway, and I think the railway was named after Skarloey too. These narrow gauge engines are so unique to the Thomas franchise, very unique indeed. Duncan's an interesting case in Season 4, as he starts off as the rude and grumpy Scottish narrow gauge engine, but he softens at the end of his arc. But I gotta say, even though he's grumpy, he's pretty relatable. We can all be grumpy sometimes, and we can all be rude sometimes, so I kind of feel for Duncan. He's not alone. I get him. I totally get him. Now we got Stepney the Bluebell engine. The Stepney the little golden yellow engine, I might as well call him. Stepney is a lovable and friendly chap. I already like the guy, and I gotta say, his debut episode, Rusty to the Rescue, was his most empathetic moment, as he was on the line of scrap. His life was in danger, but luckily Rusty saved him. And I love how he and Thomas form a close bond at the end of their episode together. At first, Thomas was jealous of Stepney, but then they become friends, and Thomas is impressed by Stepney, and that I love. Now we're going to shift the spotlight to Thomas. I love this image of Thomas. Thomas looks splendid in this image, and I also love the details in the foreground and the background. I also love this image of Thomas and Percy, as both of them look splendid in this image as well. Thomas and Percy are both adorable tank engines. And I love this image of Thomas and Stepney. Thomas's smile is adorable, and his shade of blue paint looks dark and rich and very splendid, I must say. This image of Thomas is a deleted scene from the episode Grand Puff, or maybe it was just an exclusive for promo pics. But either way, I like it. And this is a deleted scene from the episode Thomas and Stepney. I like Thomas's smile, and I love Thomas's shade of blue paint in this image. It is very splendid. Here's another image of Thomas from the episode Thomas and the Special Letter, which is my favorite episode of the season. Oh, and here's another image of Thomas with Oliver from the same episode, Thomas and the Special Letter, and Thomas looks very, very splendid in this image. Now on to one of my favorite Season 4 episodes, Thomas Meets the Queen, which takes place directly after the events of the Season 1 episode, Down the Mine. As I said, this episode would have worked better as the Season 1 finale instead of Thomas's Christmas party, but that's a topic for another video. I love these images. They have a nostalgic vibe to it, and I just love how these images appear. But a little editorial here and there can't hurt. Now, let's cover the images. I love this image of Thomas. I love his smile, and I love his shade of blue paint. Thomas's smile in this image is great. It is splendid without any editorial, but Thomas's shade of blue paint in this image in the original version was dull, so here's an editorial, and I hope you like it. Here's another image from the episode, and something that sticks out to me like a sore thumb is Duck's presence, because if this episode took place directly after Down the Mine, why is Duck in this episode? I mean, he doesn't arrive until season 2. But that aside, I like Thomas's smile and his shade of blue paint. Now this image is my favorite of the three because Thomas's shade of blue paint looks very dark and rich. Even without any editorial, Thomas's shade of blue paint in this image looks splendid as it's still dark and rich. But all the same, a little editorial can't hurt. Now here is my other favorite episode of Season 4, Thomas and the Special Letter, and this is the 100th episode of the Thomas TV series altogether. As the 100th episode of the TV series, this is a perfect choice for that milestone because Thomas is in the spotlight of this episode and it focuses on all the main characters. Oh, and better yet, the ending scene ends with Thomas and Percy in the final shot and the final scene. Same thing. And I love this image of Thomas and Percy. It is very splendid.